Magic is to make the distinction between stage magic and actual magic. So I got the K there, and when you break it down, you get the number 8. This is Saturn, or the root chakra. So number 8, when we're dealing with Vedic astrology, is the planet Saturn. Saturn represents pressure, or you can say the root chakra and the sacral chakra, or the sex chakra. I'll write that down as well. So we got the root and the sacral chakra, which is at the base of the spine, then 2 inches under the belly button. So you're dealing with pressurized expansion, which is what sex is. Pressurized expansion, being able to pressurize yourself using the heat and being in the moment, whether it's just with yourself or it's with your partner, utilizing that pressure, building up this pressure so that it expands and then create a format, which is the number 3. And when we're dealing with Jupiter, we're dealing with philosophy, we're dealing with higher ideals. So we're dealing with being able to manifest with our minds. So let's get into the second part. So this is just giving a foundation. We're dealing with pressurized expansion, being able to contain something within a circle, like a fire being contained within a circle. Let the fire burn as hot as it can possibly get. And once the fire is put out, it's able to expand. So let me go to the second phase right now. Let me deal with this. Give me 1 second.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. So careful.
Okay, it looks good. All right. Go to the notes. So the first thing is inner vision manifested outwardly. So the first thing is we all have an inner concept of what we feel we are. Whatever the vision we create in our mind, the way to expand it outwardly. So let's just say we all see ourselves as gods and goddesses, kings, queens, emperor, empress. We have this inner image. We have this inner thing that we see within our minds. When we close our eyes and we picture ourselves in our sacred space or our astral temple, I call it the astral temple. When we picture ourselves in our astral temple, my particular image is me folded in half lotus position and I'm meditating under a tree. And it's in this mystical forest and it has all type of rainbow lights and all these things. So I have an image that I see in my mind every time I close my eyes of myself. So if I want to manifest this image, the first thing I had to do was make this image really, really clear. And I'll give you an example. When I was in Detroit and I was still living with my mother, I was 18. And all this information just came to me suddenly. It was right before my grandparents died. They were literally at the last cusp of their lifetime. And in their household, I had to take care of them for about a week. And through the course of taking care of them in this week, I just randomly, it was a guru, an Eastern guru, I don't remember his name, but he died that year. This was the year of 2009, I believe. He had died that year, and they were showing a documentary of his life. And it talked about transcendental meditation. That was the first time I ever heard in my life about meditation. So I was 18, you know what I mean, I was about to go to Job Corps, you know what I mean, I didn't want to go to school anymore because I was seeing all the, all the misinformation, so on and so forth. So I learned about meditation every night at 4 a.m. or every morning at 4 a.m. I would get up and I would create images in my mind. I would read books about the subconscious mind. I would just went on a rampage and a hunger of wisdom and knowledge. So every morning, 4 a.m., I had visions of going to California. I had no means of getting there, no money in my pocket, nothing. I just had a vision in my mind about California. And every night at 4 a.m., I would just imagine myself in California. Eventually, one day I got a call, maybe 21 days later, about 3 weeks later, I got a call from one of my friends in California. Hey, we got you a ticket. I'm like, how did you do that? They said we went up to the bank. We told them we're gonna put some money in the bank. They just typed it in the computer. They didn't even take the money. They just let me put the money back in my pocket. I'm like, I've never heard that before. You can go into a bank, you tell them what you need, and you keep your money. I'm like, that's never happened before. Then a couple days later, I'm on a flight to California. So through the course of 21 days, because they say it take 3 weeks to manifest a new habit, or to break a new habit, or break an old habit to, manifest. And I'm a living proof of that, because all I had was my mind. All I did, 4 a.m. every night, meditation. Like, I'm just visualizing things that I've never seen physically. I'm visualizing machines. It's like pull the lever of a machine. It's a yellow knob with a blue machine and a green button. All type of stuff to give you mental and visual exercises. I would just literally perfect my mind. I build whole homes in my mind. Like, I have images in my mind of whole houses and whole homes that I've just built. And I was just doing this over and over, just doing this mental gymnastics. And so I'm just giving y'all an example of not only how I'm out here, but how I'm been able to, I've been to New York, I've been to Atlanta, I just been to Richmond, thanks to Mother Love. She showed me some amazing things. So just me being able to travel all over the country and share this information, because a lot of people ask me how is it possible, because all I did, I had to constantly just utilize my mind and just make my imagination as vivid and brilliant as possible. Okay. So getting back to the notes, let's get back to sex magic. So sex magic is a form of divination. Now, for those who don't know what divination is, divination can be used as, tarot cards, numerology, astrology, all these are forms of divination. So sex magic is a form of divination. This is a form of chaos magic. So let me write this down. Chaos magic. Chaos magic has no form and no formation, meaning you can take many different elements from many different systems and combine them into one new science, a new science that never existed before, because we are in the realm, or we in the times of being able to have access to all types of information at this time. So we're able to utilize all information that we have available to us, mix it in a full pot of gumbo, and to create something new. So to me personally,
that's the boat.
Yeah,
that's my boat.
Exactly.
Breath of
life.
life.
What I mean? We are able to literally create new systems and forms of magic from right at the tip of our fingertips, because we have access to the internet. We have also access to our own personal experiences. So to me personally, I feel like we're supposed to utilize chaos magic to combine all forms of magic into a new form of magic that has not been created before, so that we can do new things. Let's go to the next thing. So, sex magic is a form of divination that allows you to condense light into matter. How do you condense light into matter? Let's get into it. It's seven layers of light, and I'm gonna write them all down. Electricity. So these are the stages light go through to become matter. It starts with magnetism, which is the raw feminine energy, the universal energy, the black cosmos. It starts off as magnetism. The next level is electricity. Electricity moves through this magnetism. Electromagnetism is all about being able to direct a current of energy, and it generates a magnetic field. The magnetic field that's generated from the electro current produces ether, or you can say ether is produced through life. All these trees that we see around us produce ether. Ether is constantly being generated by the life, what we call the life. Ether is constantly being generated. Light needs an avenue to travel through. Light travels through the ether. So light traveling through the ether, which is generated through the electromagnetism, causes the solids, liquids, and gases that we see, or the sacred geometrical symbols that we see everywhere. Every car has a symbol. Every letter can be broken down. Everything around us is based on sacred geometry. So these are the 7 phases light moves through. So sex magic is a form of divination of condensing light into matter. Being able to condense light into matter is taking the light through all of these levels. And we do this naturally anyway because the magnetism is a pure feminine energy, or you can say your imagination. What do you do with your imagination? You implant and you direct thoughts into your imagination. That's the electricity, you being able to direct your thoughts within the realm of the womb or the matrix, using the matrix as an avenue to direct your thoughts. Your thoughts being directed through the electricity, so the magnetism and the electricity, or the feminine and the masculine energies being combined to one, that love or that sex that's created from that union of magnetism and electricity produces ether. Ether is produced through the union of magnetism and electricity. So the ether being produced from the magnetism and the electricity gives light an avenue that it can travel through. So light is able to travel and manifest because ether is being generated constantly. So the reason we're able to perceive light is because the light is generating ether at all times. And this ether being used as a medium for light to move through produces solids, liquids, and gases that we see all around us. All right, let's continue. Now, sex magic is a form of divination that allows you to condense light into matter through the use of becoming aware of our multidimensional existence. One more time. Sex magic is a form of divination that allows you to condense light into matter through the use of becoming aware of our multi-dimensional experience. As we know, we exist on all of these levels. We exist on a level of magnetism, we exist on a level of electricity, we exist on a level of ether, we exist on a level of light, liquids, solids, gas, and so on and so forth. So we know we exist on 7 different layers. We may only be aware of the solid, liquid, and gases with the physical and the light, these 4 levels physically, but the magnetism, the electricity, and the ether is also waves or particles and waves that we can perceive as well. We exist on all these levels. So as we move forward up the top, the chakras, we can say each one of these represents chakras. As we move up and we elevate, we perceive more and more because we are multi-dimensional beings. And of course, magnetism, electricity, and ether is not really perceived with the physical eye, so we know that we have to take these things to the astral travel, or we have to explore these things in the dream realm, and we can talk about that a little bit later. So, sex magic is a form of divination that allows you to condense light into matter through the use of becoming aware of our multi-dimensional existence by separating the subatomic particles in the air using thought and breath. By separating the subatomic particles in the air using thought and breath. Now we're talking about prana, now we're talking about chi, now we're talking about vril. Vril energy is being able to direct certain particles in the air, subatomic particles that have no weight. Subatomic particles have no weight. So they're able to flow effortlessly throughout the ethers. So when we concentrate our thoughts, directed them into certain things, let's just say, for example, for simplicity, let me write this down. You have blue particles, red particles, and yellow particles. For example, the only way to breathe in blue particles, you can say, is to think positive thoughts. When you think positive thoughts, you inhale blue particles. Let's just say you think negative thoughts, this is red particles. And yellow particles, you can say, is neutral. So subatomic particles in the air, when we focus our thoughts on positive thinking, we absorb blue particles. When we focus on negative thinking, we absorb red particles. When our thoughts are neutral, we absorb yellow particles. So, chaos magic, being able to focus our thoughts on blue particles and yellow particles by thinking positive and staying neutral in every situation we may face. In every situation we may face, we have to stay transparent in our emotions, not being able to sway to the left or the right, but to say fully centered in the middle. So being able to absorb the blue and the yellow particles in the air is based on our ability to perceive our multidimensional existence, because, go back up, our ability to separate the subatomic particles in the air. Subatomic particles are all around us, although we may not be able to perceive it, but based on our level of thinking, it determines the color of the particles that we absorb in the ethers, or the prana, excuse me. Let me continue on. So, sex magic is a form of divination that allows you to condense light into matter through the use of becoming aware of our multidimensional existence by separating the subatomic particles in the air using thought or breath, causing ripples in the quantum world that later crystallize into tangible particles that can be detected by the eye. So let me write this down. So you have waves and you have particles. So let me erase this, and this will be the last point. So we got waves and we got particles. Waves transcend time and space. Waves can move throughout time and space without effort. They call this spooky action at a distance. One atom can be 1,000,000 miles from another atom, but if they have had a previous experience together, that one atom can affect another atom 1,000,000 miles from it. So atoms are still connected if they had any previous transactions with each other. So they move as waves. Particles is what we can perceive with our eyes. Our eyes perceive particles. Everything that we see is a particle. So for a particle to become a wave, we can use sex magic to make particles become waves so that we can transcend. Let me write all this down. Our thoughts can transcend time and space. Thoughts transcend time and space through the use of waves, or in the form of waves. Thoughts transcend time and space in the form of waves because waves can penetrate all forms of matter. Particles are being stopped. Like, we can't see what's beyond this fence. We can only see so far particles, because particles are all over the place. Waves can move right past time and space. There is no time, there is no space. Because you could say this is a form of time traveling. So we have time traveling and we have Asha traveling. True time traveling is through the use of transforming particles into waves. In order to transform particles into waves, or the physical reality going into the quantum reality, so let me write this down as well. Because the quantum world is the 1, 2, and the 3, the physical world is the 4, 5, and 6. So the 1, 2, and 3 is these, we can't perceive this. We can't perceive this. Let me write the other numbers down too. The 7, 8, and 9, we can't perceive this. This is the quantum world. This is the spiritual world. This is the physical world. So the only thing that we're seeing with our physical eyes is the physical world. We're only seeing the 4, 5, and 6. We only can perceive the 4, 5, and 6 with the physical eyes. The 1, 2, and 3, and the 7, 8, and 9 cannot be perceived with the physical eyes. This is the quantum world. This is the spiritual world. In order to get to the spiritual world, you have to tap into the quantum world. The quantum world is all about waves. The physical world is all about particles. So in order for the particles to become waves, we have to tap into the quantum world. We tap into the quantum world every time we have sex. So this is what's really going on when we have sex. What we're doing is we're taking particles, or we're taking thoughts that we're holding within our mind. We're using that pressurized creativity, as we talked about before, tapping into that pressurized form of expansion, which is creating the particles being under pressure, or we could say carbon, right? Carbon is a building structure of all reality. Without carbon, we will not see anything, right? So all we see is based in carbon. So in order to move around and to reshape carbon, we have to tap into the quantum world, which is waves. Being able to influence and structure carbon or thoughts in our mind, we have to tap into the waves. So all we see is particles. So when we look at anything, we see particles. Now, because I'm not perceiving the trees behind me, they are in a wave form. You may be able to see them behind me, but when we're not looking at something, it becomes wavy. So when I turn my head this way, everything behind me that I can't perceive is waves, or they exist in the quantum world. The only thing that's making a particle appear solid is I'm putting my intention into it. Because this is perceived physical, because I'm looking at it. When I don't look at it, it becomes a wave form. So particles only stand still when we perceive it. So when we close our eyes, when we are in intimate relations with ourselves as well as others, when we close our eyes, everything becomes waves. So when we are directing our thoughts with that pressure, let me write all this down. Hold on. Where's the eraser? 1 second. The eraser's over there? Oh, okay, I see it. Thank you.
3 to 5 minutes.
3 to 5 minutes left?
Yeah, because that's not going to last much longer.
Okay. All right, so let me wrap it all up. So, let me say this one more time. So, in a nutshell, sex magic is a form of divination that allows you to condense light into matter through the use of becoming aware of our multidimensional existence by separating subatomic particles in the air using thought or breath, causing ripples in the quantum world that later crystallize into tangible particles that can be detected by the eye, which is a mirror that reflects light. So, erase this, give you one more diagram, and we'll get up out of here. Okay, so the last point is creating wisdom, organized mind. So what we're doing when we channel information, when we're in the sexual act or when we're doing divination, meditation, whatever we're doing, we're channeling the creative wisdom that exists all around us, or the life, or prana, chi, real, whatever you want to call it. So when we channel in this creative wisdom that exists all around us, being able to just study nature, being able to just study the stars, being able to just study other people or the trees, whatever is going on. So being able to study this creative wisdom that exists all around us and being able to direct that creative wisdom into an organized mind or the organized man or woman, that's why we have the use of altars. We use altars, we use symbols. Everything can be symbolic. We can say it's the law of correspondence. The second universal law, the law of correspondence, is based on organizing your mind. You organize your mind by putting certain things. You can say this is the altar. We can use this as an altar. Being able to structure certain things in a particular way that represents your thoughts. So, for example, we have 4 markers right here. We have 5. So I have 5 markers in the eraser. if I wanted to make this an altar, each one of these 5 markers will represent a thought. So that I don't have to keep this thought in my mind. I don't have to keep this thought in my mind because I'm placing it on an altar so that I can keep my mind clear so that I can channel in this creative wisdom. So the purpose of making an altar, anything like an altar, is to place your thoughts into a physical object so that you don't have to keep it on your mind, because of course we have all things in our mind. So the more things you place on the altar, the more thoughts you can have in unison with each other, which is called the law of correspondence. Being able to place and structure things right in front of you in the physical plane, so having a physical representation of a thought. So this can be a goal. You can say, okay, this is my goal, right? So this blue marker can represent a goal, and you can have as many goals as you want to. So you being able to see all these goals physically, hey, what's going on, man? How you doing? So you being able to see all of your thoughts in a physical representation, what you're doing is you're programming whatever the physical object is. Everything can be programmable because everything is an atom. All things are made by atoms. We know this. So all things can be programmed. So this can be a regular marker to anybody else, but to us, we can program anything with our intention and our thoughts, place them on an altar. Now they're spiritually charged with our intention. So every time we look at this, this becomes a symbol for something greater than just the markers. This becomes symbolic or spiritually charged with an intention or thought that will be manifested every time you give it energy. So the more and more things we place on our altar, and we keep these thoughts out of our minds. So this is another way to keep thoughts out of our minds so that we can become and stay vessels and to channel this information that we're receiving every day. And this is what it means to have an organized mind, to be able to place all of your thoughts physically as physical representations on an altar and structure it the way that you choose so that you can structure and organize your whole life while staying open to the creative wisdom available to all of us. So that's the thing in a nutshell. I appreciate everybody for tuning in, watching, and I'll get your child later. Asha, Renu. Peace.